It's the beautiful rhythm that we've seen from Duffy all season. All smiles from a very proud Bermudian who wins the title, defends her title with maximum points, 5,200, her 6th win of the season.
Red seedless grapes only $3.99 per pound. Fresh Purdue chicken drumsticks half price $1.79 per pound. Select varieties of Yoplait yogurt 6-ounce tubs only $1.09. Scott extra soft toilet tissue 4 rolls only $3.29. Tide 2X laundry detergent 92-ounce bottle hot price $19.99. Save $7.06. All stores open Monday through Saturday 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
You're watching Bermuda Broadcasting News. It's Tuesday, May the 1st, 2018. I'm Diane Brewer, and thanks for joining us tonight. An amendment forcing British overseas territories to establish public registers of the beneficial ownership of local companies was approved today by British MPs. It came when the British House of Commons debated amendments to the Sanctions and Anti-Money Laundering Bill, in which Labour MPs pushed to add a clause addressing secrecy in British tax havens. However, the bill is likely to be vigorously opposed by the Bermuda government and the other territories who see a public register as a threat to their financial services. Tarai Trott brings us up to date.
The overseas territories, including Bermuda, the subject of intense debate in the British House of Commons.
It will stop them exploiting our secret regime, hiding their toxic wealth and laundering money into the legitimate system.
MP Dame Margaret Hodge led the action for approval of what is known as Clause 6, which was successfully added to the Sanctions and Anti-Money Laundering Bill before the House of Commons. Dame Margaret, a vociferous opponent of tax dodging and money laundering, was instrumental in attracting bipartisan backing of the amendment.
Transparency, Mr. Speaker, is a very powerful tool. With open registers, we will then know who owns what and where, and we will be able to see where the money flows.
Now that the amendment has been approved, it means once the overall bill is passed by the British Parliament, the overseas territories, including Bermuda, will have until the year 2020 to introduce public registers showing beneficial ownership behind local companies, failing which Her Majesty's government will impose it upon them through orders in council. Bermuda has had such a registry available upon request to overseas authorities for 70 years and argues the establishment of a public register would damage the island's economy, a point which has traditionally fallen on deaf ears with the UK's Labour Party. Sir Alan Duncan, a Minister of State for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, initially opposed the amendment, but yielded in the face of bipartisan backing.
We are concerned, however, that the economic impact of imposing public registers on the overseas territories will be significant. Furthermore, the overseas territories are separate jurisdictions with their own democratically elected governments.
To demand that they all suddenly go public will give you a one-hit. Just as the WikiLeaks were, it was a one-hit wonder, because none of them now will trust those jurisdictions where the light of publicity has been shone. So all it will mean is that in those jurisdictions where you have that one hit, the money simply goes elsewhere, as the Right Honourable Gentleman said, to where it is darkest.
Also opposing the bill was MP Henry Bellingham, the former Minister for the Overseas Territories who visited the island in 2011.
I do foresee a very serious standoff with at least 3 of the territories. And I also fear, not just for the economies of those territories, if change happens very quickly. I am concerned, Mr. Speaker, that there are nascent independence movements in those territories, and they'll be looking at what we've done today, what's been said.
But in the end, the majority of MPs approved the amendment, setting the stage for a vote on the bill in the UK House of Lords, which is seen as the more friendly legislative chamber to the territories, with Lords rejecting a similar Commons attempt on the issue in January. Tarai Trott reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Meanwhile, Premier and Finance Minister David Burt hitting back hard against today's vote. He described it as colonialism and described it as a backward step in relations between the UK and Bermuda. Also ironic, the Premier says that it comes in the same year as the island marks the 50th anniversary of our Constitution. Mr. Burt pledges, however, Bermuda will take steps to ensure its autonomous constitution is respected. In other news, a trial of a former high school teacher accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl began in magistrate's court today. The Crown says that the defendant fled the island to the United States on the day the incident was reported to the police in 2007. He was extradited back to Bermuda earlier this year, a decade after the alleged incident took place.
The incident is said to have taken place on May 3, 2007. The victim, who was 17 years old at the time of the alleged incident, cannot be named for legal reasons, was the sole witness to give evidence today for the Crown. She identified the defendant as a trusted former advisory teacher at a local high school. She says after class that day, she asked him to stay behind to finish a project, and he agreed. The victim said no one else was in the classroom, and he proceeded to close the door shut. Then he began running his hands through her hair and massaged her head. After rubbing her neck and back, he put his hands around her waist and asked her if she had lost weight. She said she had just gotten out of hospital, so it made look that way. He then took her arm, asking her to stand up so that he can take a closer look. At that point, she became fearful as he picked her up and cradled her across his body. At that point, she started to pray and close her eyes as she knew something wasn't right. Holding on to her the entire time, she says he sat her down on his lap, saying, quote, "I felt it was the perfect opportunity to escape, but he gripped me on my waist and pulled me back down," unquote. When she sat down, she noticed he was aroused and moved his hands along her torso to below her breasts. She described trembling throughout the ordeal, telling him she had to leave to go to the bathroom. He replied she could not leave without fixing her hair. She says he offered to brush her hair, but she refused. The interaction lasted about 20 minutes. Finally leaving the classroom, she says she called her mother and sister and eventually reported what happened to the school principal, and the police were later informed. Under cross-examination, defense lawyer Elizabeth Christopher suggested the woman had a crush on the defendant, but she denied it. And it was also suggested she had a history of being involved romantically with older men, which was also denied. The defendant, who is an American citizen, elected to take the stand to give his own account. He said he noticed the girl was sat at a computer but denies discussing a project with her or having any physical contact with her at all. He recalled returning to the classroom after lunch and testified another student was there, but not the complainant. At the end of the day, he recalls being escorted to the principal's office by the deputy principal and was informed that a complaint was made against him, and police were handling the matter. The father of four says he returned home feeling, quote, frustrated and overwhelmed because his marriage was failing and he had just lost his job. He admits taking a taxi to the airport that night, flying back to Alabama, where his son resides, to get away from, quote, the negativity. Magistrate Archibald Warner adjourned the trial until next week, and the Crown is expected to cross-examine the defendant at that time. Jasmine Patterson reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, the Hamilton docks are just about back to normal tonight now that a labor dispute has been settled between unionized dock workers and stevedoring services. As Tony Waterman reports, the settlement came with a mea culpa.
There's give and take in negotiations.
We're sorry. That was the message from the Port Workers Division of the Bermuda Industrial Union today. The workers apologized for their decision to down tools without notice in October after the firing of Assistant Superintendent Antoine Tacklin. Dock workers offloaded essential items, but otherwise left the containers full.
The Port Workers Division accepts the fact that this situation could have been handled completely different before they decided to down tools, so they sincerely apologize for that action.
Mr. Tacklin was terminated for an undisclosed reason. A manager at the time, he fell outside the collective bargaining agreement, but had worked among the ranks for some 25 years before his promotion.
The workers felt that the termination in October was unfair, recognizing that, there had been some shortcomings maybe in him fulfilling his management responsibilities, And that's why the workers never asked for him to be reinstated as a manager.
Instead, they asked for him to be reinstated in a junior holdman position, which the union says was vacant at the time. That didn't happen, although he's now been offered a position and is expected to return to work shortly. We tried reaching Mr. Tacklin for comment, but were unsuccessful. The docks are also expected to be back to normal by the end of the week after the union halted overtime work in mid-April. That ban was lifted last Friday, but has left the docks cluttered.
We've been functioning relatively normally, except we haven't been working overtime. The issue creates a real difficulty for truckers because they have nowhere to take empty containers. So with this week, all 3 ships are coming in. They'll all take all their empties and we'll be good to go.
Polaris Holdings CEO Warren Jones says the outcome of the dispute is a win-win.
I fully understand how staff feel about, their colleague. Whether or not he was a manager or not, he had worked there for 25 years. I understand that, and the discussion we had was just about the manner in which staff chose to address that matter.
Going forward, the union has agreed to give 3 working days' notice within which to find a solution before taking any industrial action. Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
We'll have more news for you after this short break. Stay with us.
Check out the great products at our 4 Dollar Depot stores. Party bags, candles, soaps, and a variety of health and beauty items, even candy. A number of kitchen items, aluminum baking pans, an assortment of socks in various sizes, even baby products. Your choice of items for only $2.50 each. Stop by any of our 4 stores today. The Dollar Depot, stretching your dollars further.
Welcome to Furniture Walk. At Furniture Walk, we have one of the island's widest selections of top brand home furnishings, including Stearns & Foster, Craftmaster, Natuzzi, Universal, Bassett, and many more. Whether you're freshening up your living room or remodeling your entire home, we have all the brands and top quality furnishings you'll need. We also offer in-house financing. Can't find what you're looking for in store? No problem. We can special order it for you. Our website has an even larger selection of the world's best furniture. Stop by our Paget store and we'll be happy to help you get on your way to finding the perfect selection for your home or office. Furniture Walk, furnishing Bermuda's homes for over 30 years.
Welcome back. Working men to arms, war to the palace, peace to the cottage, and death to luxurious idleness. A slogan from the very first May Day, now called International Workers' Day, in 1886. But there was no such talk at Workers' Day observances in Victoria Park today. Gary Moreno has that story.
What the marchers lacked in numbers, they certainly made up for with their zeal as they took to the city streets this afternoon. Of course, there are still concerns about the plight of workers, but today's march, organized by the Bermuda Trade Union Congress, or BTUC, was in an effort to bring attention to the pressing issue of healthcare costs.
Healthcare should be deemed to be a human right. Healthcare should not be viewed as a commodity. All in our society should have access to quality and affordable healthcare.
As a result of the prohibitive cost of healthcare as highlighted by the numerous placards depicting the day's theme, Mr. Hayward argued 8% of the working population goes without healthcare, while other workers who do have health insurance are forced to choose minimum services simply because premiums are too high. Mr. Hayward said the cost to the country of what he stated should be a human right is in the region of $700 million.
That equates to over $700 million per year spent on healthcare in this country. With a population of roughly around 64,000 people, $700 million should be enough to provide everybody with quality healthcare.
And in an effort to illustrate how significant that figure is, Mr. Hayward compared it to revenue generated by the second pillar of the country's economy.
700 million represents 11% of Bermuda's GDP. It is double the domestic product of the tourism industry in this country.
These concerns not lost on Premier and Minister of Finance David Bett, as well as his cabinet colleague, Health Minister Kim Wilson, who were among the government ministers attending the gathering.
The government will continue to support the efforts of which are being called for workers. The matter that is being brought before us is a very serious one. The issue of health care, making it accessible, making it affordable, and making sure that we do not have, how would I say, too much profit from people's pain. Healthcare is something that needs to be a right, and this government is committed to getting us to the place where we can afford healthcare, where our citizens can have that access to healthcare, and we do it in an equitable fashion.
The Ministry of Health in particular and our government is committed to taking steps to ensure that we achieve universal health care for all, something that's affordable, where quality and equity are what is the mantra with respect to this, and we are committed to doing just that.
Mr. Hayward ultimately called for a community approach to addressing high healthcare costs, with stakeholders doing their part to ensure a reduction in the amounts spent, from government to healthcare and insurance providers, as well as the average resident, who he says can play a significant role by adopting healthier lifestyles. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
And authorities are continuing their investigation into what caused a small airplane to crash while landing at the LF Wade International Airport last night. The Cessna 172 aircraft came up short of the runway, sustaining damage to the wing, landing gear, and nose. A statement from Skyport said the pilot had difficulty as she came in for the landing. The 32-year-old pilot of that plane, Heather Nichols, walked away from the incident without injuries, but was taken to the hospital for appraisal. The plane was operated by Blue Sky Flights. On its website, the company says its Cessna 172 Skyhawk is the most common training aircraft in the world designed for student pilots. Last night's crash caused several inbound flights to be diverted to the U.S. The plane was hauled off the runway around 8:15, and the airport returned to normal operations shortly after. Minister of National Security Wayne Keynes extended his thanks and appreciation to those who oversaw the emergency response to the crash. He said emergency personnel enacted the requisite safety protocols throughout the incident, which was a testament to their preparedness and specialized training. Turning to weather news, the beautiful sunny days will continue due to a high-pressure system nearby. Here are the details from AccuWeather headquarters.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brittany Boyer, and hopefully you're having a great first day of May. And we have some stats to fill you in on what we can expect as we continue throughout this month. And we're actually looking at a relatively quiet pattern here over the next couple of days. Here's our cold front that left us a couple of days ago, a storm system exiting the northeast coast, and we have high pressure essentially building in right behind all of this. So we have some nice weather on our hands here across the island. Here's a look at that rain that continues to work its way on east. We don't have any of that in the forecast anytime soon. What we do have is a lot of dry air. You can actually see where the dry air is compared to where the moisture is, and nothing but dry air over the island. So if you have any big plans over the next couple of days, you don't have to cancel them. You don't have to worry about any rainfall, but that could also be problematic as we pretty much always need rain here. But as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have some stats for you since it's the first day of May. Our average high temperature right now is 74 degrees. By the end of the month, our high temperature is right around 80. So if you like the warmth, something to look forward to. Our typical rainfall for this month, just over 4.3 inches. And where that's going to be problematic is we're expecting dry weather over the next several days. So you kind of average it out. We typically see over an inch of rain per week here. So we'll have to watch that. Rainfall to date, not too shy off of where we should be. But again, it is going to be relatively dry in the coming days. Your current temperatures right now sitting right around 70 degrees. Winds are out of the northwest, 5 to 10 knots. And we're not dealing with any rough conditions out there on on the water, so it's looking very nice in the next couple of days. For tonight, 66 degrees, clear skies, quiet weather, no marine alerts that I had to put up there for you today. So here's your tidal times. High tide 1 coming in at 10:33 this evening. I guess you could technically call it high tide 2, but our next high tide coming in at 10:33 tonight. And for tomorrow, a beautiful day, plenty of sunshine, 73 degrees for your high temperature, so right around average, 67 as we head into tomorrow night. If you're doing any traveling, here's a look at the forecast. Toronto, a couple of showers tomorrow. The East Coast, it's going to be pretty hot over the next couple of days. Look at Boston, 86 degrees. Atlanta, 84 degrees. And Miami could have a shower or thunderstorm around for tomorrow. And we're a little bit unsettled here. Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad seeing a couple of showers and also some thunderstorms as well. Your extended forecast, no rain in sight. Kind of a double-edged sword. It's good if you have outdoor activities, but again, we could use some rainfall right now. Thursday, 73 and sunny, and we'll stay in the low to mid-70s, and also staying nice and dry right into the weekend.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, it's, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
This is Rick Blomquist of De Pere, Wisconsin. His life is pretty comfortable. He lives in a comfy home, wears comfortable shoes. He even has a comfortable job. Rick Blomquist thought he had comfort all figured out. But then he laid on a Serta and realized his life was only just sorta comfortable. The new Serta iComfort Hybrid Mattress. Not just sorta comfortable, Serta comfortable.
Feel the difference a good night's sleep can make. Exclusively available at Dreams, Bermuda's only mattress gallery.
Bermuda. You want it. You need it. You asked for it. Backed by popular demand. One Communications presents Razor Returns.
It was an awesome present! Oh, big fan. It was an awesome show. Amazing.
What an incredible show. I never expected it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
May 11th, 12th, and 13th. Featuring a special Mother's Day show. A special Mother's Day show that will mesmerize your mind.
It's mind-blowing. I can't figure out how any of that happened. I don't want to know. It was, I don't know, my mind's blown.
Razor Returns, May 11th, 12th, and 13th. Tickets sold at Audiovisual Hamilton and Somerset, Fairmont Southampton, and online at ptix.bs. Sponsored in part by Exclusive Events, the Sarah's family of service stations, Photogenic Photography, Fairmont Southampton Hotel, and Exclusive Flowers. Tickets are disappearing fast, so get yours today.
The new initial coin offering legislation passed on Friday is already bearing fruit as government signs a memorandum of understanding with Medici Ventures, a company formed to incubate, launch, and invest in blockchain investments. Premier David Burt, speaking at the signing ceremony, outlined what the new deal entails.
Medici Venture is known for pushing new processes such as blockchain meets land titling, blockchain meets central banking, blockchain meets capital markets, blockchain meets voting, and blockchain meets healthcare. These are all industries in where Bermuda can see innovation, and as we've said on numerous times before, the Bermuda government wants to ensure that we are a place for innovation to happen. The MOU that we are signing today with Medici Ventures states that Medici Ventures will make Bermuda its laboratory for the most leading-edge blockchain innovations coming out of its stable of a dozen blockchain firms. To facilitate item number 1 above, Medici intends to create at least 30 jobs in Bermuda over 3 years. As soon as practicable, Medici will develop a security token trading platform in Bermuda subject to all required legal and regulatory processes. It will focus its social contribution in Bermuda on nurturing a proper pipeline for creating basic, intermediate, and advanced software development engineers. And finally, Medici will work collaboratively with the government of Bermuda and all necessary oversight agencies in the development and improvement of Bermuda's robust legal and regulatory framework.
And signing on behalf of Medici was Dr. Patrick Byrne, who is also CEO of Overstock.com. Dr. Byrne is no stranger to Bermuda and is the brother of the late Mark Byrne, co-founder of Flagstone Re. Dr. Byrne explained the decision to set up shop in Bermuda and highlighted training opportunities which will be made available in terms of training and employment.
Two things. One, I have had several conversations with Premier Burt starting about 4 months ago, and understood from at least January or February that we had a very far-sighted leader here. And perhaps it is in part because of his background. I've spoken to politicians all over the world. I can honestly say I've never met one who gets this as well as Premier Burt, or in the same class as Premier Burt gets this. So having that kind of political leadership that will let it go forward. I've had other nations promise me that, oh, bring it here and you can let it, and talk is cheap. This is what Premier Burt and Bermuda has done today really distinguishes itself the world over. Even social media is blowing up because of this, of what has happened in terms of the signing and of that legislation in Bermuda. There are at least 3 or 4 of our 12 companies, and maybe as many as 12 of them, will have products with some application here. So we're going to be looking for people with whom we can work. So it can be, some of them will be product developers, but there will be, besides product developers, other kinds of things, graphic artists and technologists, though primarily a technology focus. Maybe an economist or two as well.
Fresh Driscoll strawberries, 1 pound package, $6.99. Fresh certified Angus beef top round steak, $6.99 per pound. Tostitos tortilla chips, 10-ounce bags, hot price at $4.99. Kellogg's Special K cereal, 12-ounce box, only $6.99. Select the size roll, Bounty paper towels, hot price, $2.49. All stores open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
Are you looking to expand your customer base, increase sales, and be a part of the Island Community Events for 2018? Bermuda Broadcasting Company can make that happen.
Be a part of World Cup 2018, Bermuda Day Half Marathon, Bermuda Heroes Weekend, Cup Match Classic, and Eastern Counties Cricket.
Inquire about our new advertising opportunities, whether big or small. We will deliver. Come and see us at Fort Hill, Devonshire, or email us at sales@bbc.pm, or send us a message on Facebook at Bermuda Broadcasting.
Martin Cease is the current leader of the Bermuda International Sail Week going on in the Great Sound.
Cease is currently on 8 points. 2 points behind him is the team from Fisher Island, John Burnham and Peter Rugg. Past multiple winner of the IOD fleet, Peter Wickwire and Oliver Dix are both on 12 points. The My Bermuda House National Squash Championships continued last evening at the Bermuda Squash Rackets Association Club. In the men's open PSA division, number 1 seed Michael Franklin advanced after defeating Anthony Fellows in straight games 11-7, 11-4, 11-2. Second seed Noah Brown also advanced in straight games 11-4, 11-2, 11-2 over Roma Douglas. Others who will be pushing for the title advanced as well, as Nick Kime defeated Nazir Smith 11-4, 11-4, 11-6. Kristen Johnson defeated Stephen Smith 11-8, 11-4, 13-11. Patrick Foster got by Mark James 11-4, 11-4, 11-7.
The Bermuda cricket season continued this past weekend, and once again we bring you the top performers from matches played. In the batting department, Jordan De Silva from the Somerset Cricket Club was the weekend top scorer with a knock of 124. 63 saw Okira Bascom representing Bermuda, the second highest score of the weekend, and Kevin Lamb from PHC was the next highest with a knock of 60. In the bowling department, Kyle Hutzel from Bailey's Bay had the best figures of 13 overs, 3 maidens, 6 for 31. Brian Hall from St. David's Cricket Club had the second best figures of 12.3 overs, 4 maidens, 5 for 13. Lamar Richardson from PHC had the third best figures of 12 overs, 3 maidens, 5 for 37. Gage Miners and his Franklin Pierce University men's track and field teammates wrapped up 3 days of competition at the prestigious Penn Relays. Franklin Pierce fielded athletes in 3 events. The men's 4x800 meter relay team highlighted the trip to Philadelphia as they laid down a school record time of 7:35:18, which is also the Northeast 10 Conference best time so far this spring. Miners recorded the fastest time of the group, clocking 1:51:56, running the third leg. The Bermuda Inline Bowl Hockey League season got underway last evening with 4 teams in the league with parish names. The 4 teams, Southampton Sailors, St. David's Islanders, Warwick Waves, and Tuckerstown Tropics, will all do battle in the Summer League. On the opening evening, the 4 teams combined for a total of 24 goals. In the season opener, the St. David's Islanders defeated the Southampton Sailors 8-4. The St. David's Islanders were led by Jeremy Esty, who scored a hat-trick. Pete.
And that's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thanks for sharing your Tuesday evening with us, everyone. Good night.